Hello, hello, hello. All right, so the first theorist that we're going to talk about will be Piaget. Okay. All right. So this is Jean Piaget. He came up with the cognitive development theory and many other famous theories as well. Um, but one of the theories that we're going to be talking about that's specific to um, our field will be his cognitive development theory. Okay. Now let me back up. All right, so we talked about the three domains of human development, which is biosocial, cognitive, and psychosocial. Okay, just to piggyback and just to give a a review. I'm sorry, I had lost my train of thought. Biosocial development. So biosocial has to do with how the body grows, the human body. Hence bio, the prefix bio, like biology and so forth. So bio has to do with the growth changes in the human body. So in an infant, for example, growth changes can happen from one stage from 1 month year old to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. Each child, when they reach a certain age, will reach a certain milestone. For example, if a baby is 1 month old, okay, he's not ready to hold his bottle yet. Some babies aren't, but they're looking around and trying to figure out the people that they see every day, their caregivers, their parents, and so forth. So their senses are very their sensory is very alert. So they're going through different developments with their sensory. When they hit about 5 months, they're able to hold their bottle. 8 months, they're going to be starting. 6 months, 8 months, 7 months, they'll be starting to crawl. And then finally 1 year, they'll be walking, or 11 months. So each age, as a child develops and grows, the body goes through changes. Okay. So, the body grows and develops and changes for many different reasons. Of course, nutrition, health, genetics are reasons as to why the body will grow properly or improperly if you're not giving the child proper nutrition. Negative environments will also contribute to improper growth and development. And then, as you remember, we talked about cognitive development, and that is the brain process in which a child thinks, how they think, and they begin to grow. Brain growth begins at cognitive development through very engaging experiences with children, positive, engaging experiences with children, learning experiences, formal, informal experiences, just going to the store is a learning experience, or going to grandma's house. Or, of course, you coming over to do lessons with the children can also create cognitive development. And then you have psychosocial development, and this is how children socialize in society, whether it's at home, school, and they are beginning to be aware of their emotions. And also, it's our place to help them guide them into how to effectively manage their emotions. Because you will run into children who have temper tantrums, so you got to be able to deal with that. And teach them how to guide and to guide them into positive temporal management or emotional management. And you can do things like puppet plays. You can read to the children, do things that involve emotions. Singing songs, introducing them to different types of songs and genres that show emotion, or display emotion in songs, finger plays, playing dress up, all those things are ways to express themselves emotionally and will help them to self-regulate their emotions and temperaments, okay? So just a quick review on the 3 domains of human development. Now, back on Piaget. Piaget, again, was a theorist in the psych field, and then he began doing research on children. He used his own children, people next door, close family members to observe children, write observations about children down. He would sit and watch and, really observe them in the environment in which they were in. So if they were outside, he would sit outside, make observations with them. His observations and his research was not in a lab. It was in a very naturalistic environment. It could be inside the home, at the lake, wherever the children were that he wanted to write descriptions down, charting these developments and so forth, he would do so. And in early childhood and as a teacher, you yourself, when you are interacting with the children, you will also want to have something called a daily checklist or a daily note to give to the parents to let them know how the child is doing in their natural environment. Did they have a good day? Did they eat well? Did they sleep well? You want to give those observations to the parents, letting them know how the child was throughout the time that you are sitting with the children. So we what am I trying to say? We mimic Dr. Piaget's way of observing and writing down observations of children in their natural environment, even now. So that's really important to understand and to take in, especially when you're babysitting other people's children. You have to observe them and watch them so that you'll understand who they are. Now, this is the stages of development chart. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stages of development, and Piaget believed that every child, from whatever walk of life that the child comes from, it doesn't matter what race, color, ethnicity, gender, they all go through these 4 stages, and will continue to be in the last stage for the rest of their lives. Okay, let me pull this down so you can see it all. Okay. So, yes. So the first stage is sensory motor, and this is from ages 0 to 2. And then you have preoperational from 2 to 7 years old. You have concrete operational from 7 to 11, and then formal operational from 11 years old to adulthood. Okay. Now, these are the videos for each one of the stages that will explain to you each one of the stages. But I'm going to go through them very quickly. So the sensory motor stage, again, is from 0 to 2 years old. At this time, these are key features that children are learning about and how to navigate in the world. They're learning these different skill sets during the ages 0 to 2. So object pertinence is one of the skill sets that children learn from. Object pertinence. So basically, object pertinence is how children see an object, and the object is basically kind of stained in the mind, and it's a representation or symbolic of an object that they may see. So if the child sees a ball, a red ball, they see that ball, they remember that ball. If you have the same red ball and you take it away from them, they have the picture in their mind, and so the child will quite naturally look around for the ball to see what happened to the ball. Why did it disappear? They can't express that, but this is something new to them. This is something that is a newfound skill set. So they don't know. So you have the red ball and you put it back in front of them. And they're like, wow, they're looking around like, the ball was there and it was gone. So this is sparking some interest. This is kind of not kind of, but it is sparking their cognitive development to understand their brain growth, to understand how to, um, you know, recognize an object, and also to process that object in their minds and keep that representation of that object from which they've seen, whether it's there presently or if you take it away, they still can recognize the same object over and over again. So a great game that came off of this concept, object pertinence, is Piaget's research study called the ball and blanket. So the researcher, or Piaget, what he did was he used a ball and he would present it in front of the child, and then he would get a blanket and cover the blanket up, cover the ball with the blanket. And so the baby's looking, they know they saw the ball, and then the ball disappears, and then he takes the blanket off and the ball reappears. So this is called the ball and blanket study. And that is an example of object pertinence, because we're trying to help the child to understand, seeing an object and also keeping that object in their mind as a representation or something symbolic to that object, even when it's gone, or you take it away and bring it back, take it away and bring it back. They still have that object in their minds, and to understand, how the object works, how it looks, and so forth. So the ball and blanket study was done to observe children in their development, understanding object pertinence. And another game that we use now with children is the peekaboo game. That is also a replica of the ball and blanket study. Okay, the next one is preoperational, which is 2 to 7 years old. Now, this is, as I know you have a younger brother, and so a lot of times children from 2 to 7 years old, we usually call it the me stage or the I stage, and everything that they do and say is about them. Oh, you're my friend. No, this is my toy. This is my mommy. No, it's mine. So it's the I, the me type of stage, okay? So children are, doing self-discovery at this time. They're learning about themselves. They're trying to understand the world around them in their own eyes and their own scope. And so during the ages 2 to 7, we call this stage the egocentric stage. And basically it's about the ego, about the child's ego and how they see the world. And that they believe that they see the world, how they see the world, everyone else should see the world as they see it. Okay, so it's like they believe that we take on the scope of the world as they see the world. And this is because they are still developing cognitively. They're still going through brain growth, and they don't understand that, it's more to it in the world than just what you see or how you perceive it. Okay, so they have not came to a development cognitively for abstract reasoning and higher order thinking. They are still trying to conceptualize the world in their terms and how they see it, and that's okay, because everybody has to get to one stage to the next in their own time. So a study that Piaget did was called a 3 mountain stage study, and so it was basically he had a little child in front of him, and they were looking at different. They had a kind of what do you call it? A little setting or a little scene that had little mountains and trees and different things like that in front of them. And someone would ask them, "Okay, what do you see?" And the child would say, name the things that they saw on the little scene. Well, I see a tree, I see a little bird, I see this, I see that. And then, so basically the child is giving their scope about what they see. And they believe that adults and other people should see what they see as well. So that is egocentrism. And then concrete operational is from 7 to 11 years old. And this is when children begin to understand the conservation of numbers. They begin to understand different mathematical computations, such as quantity, how much is in a cup. If I have a tall cup that is 4 ounces and a short cup that is 4 ounces, children will begin to understand that both cups are equal. It's just that one cup is taller than the other, but they both have 4 ounces of water. Now, children who don't understand, who maybe 7 or 8 years old, will say that, the taller cup has more water in it and the shorter cup doesn't. It's just because they see the height of the cup and they think that it's more water in it, when in actuality, both cups have the same amount of water. But they cognitively have not understood that concept or that conservation of numbers yet. So with they grow into that when we have activities and mathematical activities that will challenge them to help them get to that level of understanding conservation of numbers. Okay. Next is the formal operational, and this is from 11 on up. So you are in the formal operational. I am in formal operational. Adults, 11 on up. We are always going to be in formal operational for the rest of our lives. And this is when we have higher order thinking. We think abstractly. We understand the world in a more abstract and broader sense. So this is formal operational. Now, again, I do have videos here that will explain to you each one of those stages. This is the sensory motor stage, preoperational, concrete operational, formal operational. So I will have these, in the sharing space in the classroom. Okay. Okay. Our next theorist is Sigmund Freud. Okay. Sigmund Freud was a psychoanalyst. He was really weird. He was very, very weird. You may have heard of him maybe in some of your classes if you take psychology or so forth, but he was a strange man. Very strange, but we still use a lot of his ideas and his theories in psychology and education and sociology even today. And some of as weird as he is, a lot of his theories are very, they are substantial. He just had a weird way of putting things out there. So one of his theories that is very, very popular. You may have seen them even in marketing. A lot of times marketing and commercials use this theory, but we don't know it if we don't know his theory offhand. And we use it every day. So his theory is called the id, the ego, and superego. And this is called the human psyche or the personality theory. So if you ever seen some of those commercials or movies when the devil is on one shoulder and the angel is on the other, well, we could contribute that idea of the angel and the devil personality to Sigmund Freud's id, ego, and superego. Okay? So the id is basically an impulse that is very natural, unconscious type of behavior. Okay, and this behavior happens when it is set off by a stimuli. Now, for example, the id. When a child, let's say you got two children, you got little Sarah and little Johnny, they're playing. Little Johnny takes a toy from little Sarah, and little Sarah hauls off and slaps little Johnny and begins to cry. So at this point, little Sarah has the id on her shoulder. Okay, she is doing something very impulsive, unconscious. This is something that has not been taught to her. This is just something very natural, a very natural response to her feelings of anger and frustration. So she hauls off and hit little Johnny. This is the id part of her psyche or her personality. Okay. An example also is when babies put things in their mouths because they are going through sensory motor. They learn through their senses, and especially the mouth. They learn, about textures, taste, um, and just the world around them by just putting things in their mouths. So that is something very natural and instinctual. Okay. Next is the ego. Now the ego is the angel on the shoulder. Okay. So this is something that is, it could be something that, um, that it's a guided type of response. So when I mean guided, I mean when a child's caregiver or the parent guides the child into the right decision. Okay. For example, little Sarah is a hitter, of course, as we talked about in the id. So to get her from the id to the ego, mommy comes over and talks to little Sarah and tell her how it's not nice to hit and why she shouldn't hit. And she comforts the little boy, little Johnny, and then she tells him that, tells her that Johnny is hurt. He's hurting. That's not a nice thing to do. You should not hit him because it's not nice. Hitting hurts. Hands hurt. We do not hit our friends. So now, little Sarah is crying because her feelings are hurt. Because she's gotten in trouble and mommy's talking to her. So now she's from the id to the ego because she has a guidance to help her, or her mom's giving her positive guidance to help her get from the impulsive and unconscious type of behavior into a conscious and more, in a more direct, positive type of choice now. So that is the difference between the id and the ego. Okay? Now we are getting into the superego. Okay, the superego is very similar to the ego, except the superego now it is geared towards morals and rules and regulations in society. So let's just say we take Sarah to the park and she plays with another little friend and he does the same thing as what Johnny did. So Sarah goes again and she's in a different environment. She's not at home or at school, so she knows she doesn't hit at home and in school. But now she's outside of home and school into a new environment, and she does what she did from the very beginning by hitting the new child or her new friend. Okay, so how do we get her out of the id into a super ego? Okay. And that's very simple. You do the same thing as you did with the id and the ego. You talk to her. You tell her, no, this is not nice. We cannot hit our new friends. It's not nice to hit, so you're getting her out of hitting, not just at home and school, but also outside of the four walls and into society, telling her this is not good. You should not hit. It's not nice to hit. Okay. So the superego's function is to control the id, and the impulses, so that children will not get in trouble, not just going to timeout, but also getting in trouble with the law. So you have to stop them, at an early age to help them get from the id to the ego, because there are other things and consequences that a child can, catch hold to if they do things outside of the home that can be that's not right. Within society, they can get in a lot of trouble. So just like, if a child plays with fire, fire not only will hurt them, but also it can cause death and injury, and they can go to jail for arson. So we have to get the child from the id to the ego, or from the id and the superego. And we do that through positive guidance, what we call positive guidance. We talk to the child or give them a consequence so they can stop doing things out of impulse, and give them positive guidance in the right direction to do the right thing. All right. Last but not least is Urie Bronfenbrenner. Now, he is one of my favorites. I love Urie Bronfenbrenner's theory called the ecological systems theory. This is very, very important because it helps us to understand children and how the world affects them, and how people within their, the people around them who are very close, how they affect them as well. Okay, let me go back. I'm trying to get my screen right so that you can see the whole screen, but it's kind of weird. I can't. It's too wide or something. I know some of the wording and stuff is cut off. Okay, so why the human ecosystem theory is important to you as an early childhood professional. The ecosystem is basically, again, it is something that will help you understand how influential you are in a child's life, the parents, the families, and people around them, businesses around them, the government, how they affect them directly and indirectly. Okay, so that's very important to understand. Okay, so this is the Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, okay, in a diagram. So I'm going to teach you how to read the diagram. So we start in the middle. This is you slash the child. Okay, so let's just say it's the child. Okay, so we are going from the inner circle out. Okay, so the first thing that we need to look at is the green circle, which is the microsystem. Okay, so the microsystem is a very, very important system in the ecological systems of children. Okay, so let's look into the microsystem. As you can see, we have family as the nucleus, school, peers, religious affiliation, workplace, and neighborhoods. And I'm going to throw in caregivers, babysitters, teachers, okay, in the microsystem. All right. So those are very, very important people, influential to the children. Your value, what you say and what you do holds a lot of value towards your children. So you have to be careful about what you say and do, because they can affect them positively and negatively. You can really, do a great thing for children, and then you can do something that is very detrimental. Now, the next system is the mesosystem. Okay, so this is, again, family, outside family, like aunts, uncles, if they are not here in the nucleus, extended family in the school, the teachers, principals, peers inside schools, or very close peers, or, a friend of a friend. Again, religious affiliations, other churches or other affiliations that you may have or the parents may have, the parents' workplace or their parents' friends' workplace, and also other neighborhoods or, your neighborhood. All right, so that's the meso. So the micro and meso systems are very similar and very close. Okay, so these are bonds within bonds. They're ties within ties. Okay, these people are very interconnected, interrelated to each other. All right, now the ecosystem. Okay, this is the blue. So the ecosystem is very important. These are local institutions, such as children going to a certain school in a certain district. Also workplaces around schools and so forth. The school system, the governmental systems, religious systems, all affect children. Now, they may affect them directly or affect them indirectly, the decisions that they make. For example, if a mother is on food stamps, that is underneath a governmental system. If they take food stamps away from the mother, then in turn the children cannot eat. Okay, so these systems are very, very important, and they can affect the child directly and indirectly. For example, COVID-19, all of these systems have affected the child and their family. It has affected us economically, politically, in the education system, in the government and religious systems. We can't even go to church. So all of these things can affect a child's ecosystem, okay, directly and indirectly. I'm sorry. Next is the macro system. Okay, these are cultural values. Okay, what family culture or cultural values outside of the family, rather, things that are acceptable in society, things that are not acceptable in society, you know, in which someone lives. So, different societal norms and abnormalities and taboos can affect the child directly and indirectly. So, overarching beliefs and values and so forth can affect the child. So, for example, Black Lives Matter, those things can affect the child if you're in an African American community. Nextly is the chrono system, and this is chrono means time. So these are timely situations and experiences, good and bad, that affect the child. For perhaps, every year you go to Disney World or you go to the beach, maybe a divorce, parents divorcing, breakup. All of these things can affect a child's chrono system, good and bad. So these are the different systems in the Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory. Okay, so we got microsystem, meso, exo, macro, and the chrono systems. Okay, these are 5 systems in Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory. All right, so this is very important to understand. Alright, so this is your assignment for Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems diagram. You're going to recreate his diagram. You can use scissors, glue, construction paper. You can do it virtually, but you do need 5 colors of construction paper, or 5 colors to color, or 5 colors to use virtually to create the diagram. Okay, so that will be in the sharing space. Disregard this right here where it says homework reminder. That is nothing. That don't pertain to you. Just this part right here pertains to you. How to create the Bronfenbrenner's diagram. This other stuff in red, don't worry about that. Alright. Alright, so that ends our discussion on our ecological ecosystem diagram and our lesson on the 3 theorists. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. Call me, let me know, and I will put this in the sharing space. All right. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.